Hey guys, welcome to a new video. It's been a while since I posted, and I don't know, I just have some fun on other games, but the new update 6.0.0, 6.00, whatever you want to call it, just came out, and that introduces a new killer, new survivor, and a new map. Now, I'm not really going to be playing or anything considering I don't have the characters, but I will be reviewing them and their powers and giving my personal opinion on buffs, debuffs, how good the power is. So let's start off with Killer, because that's the one I'm most excited for. I've seen like the Dredge before. I'm not sure if his power is going to change or anything. But like I've heard about him, I haven't seen like any gameplay or anything. But he seems pretty cool, and yeah, no, that's totally not scary. Anyways, let's check out the... First, let's check out the power, and then we're going to check out the perks. Alright, so he starts off with the Reg of Darkness, which has a special ability called the Glooming. Alright, so yeah, the power is Reign of Darkness. Like a dark thought, the dredge is difficult to shake, and when night falls, it is nearly impossible. His special ability is the Glooming. Press and hold the power button to activate. Once active, the dredge leaves a remnant behind. Aim at a locker and press the ability button to teleport into it, or press the attack button to return to the remnant. Alright, so he's got huge map pressure. He's able to teleport to lockers, which are everywhere just about. Because, well, Dead by Daylight really likes lockers, and many players don't really like lockers until now, I guess. And he's got really good looping potential, because he can cover two areas for that dredge. Like, if he sees people bolt, well, for that remnant, he can teleport right there and quick slash, or they have to take another route, to which the dredge can just cancel his power and let it regen. So that's already great map pressure and looping pressure. I would just believe that the locker thing wouldn't be as powerful mid-chase, as it probably takes a while to get there. But obviously this has to have some sort of counter to it. Teleport to the locker when a player... The Remnant is disabled when teleporting to a locker, or when the when the survivor touches it. Alright, so yeah, there's counters. So you can teleport to your locker and you're not able to go back, so you're committed to that. And if a survivor does touch it, then... yeah, that's another way out. While in a locker, aim at another locker and press the ability button to teleport again. And each teleport consumes a power token. So yeah, there's tokens, so you can't just like teleport all around the map and check everywhere. Exiting a locker or returning to a remnant will activate the Glooming's cooldown, after which all power tokens are recharged. Yeah, so you're just not able to do anything, like you can't save counter tokens until later. Survivors can place locks on a locker to slow the dredge exiting them. The dredge can break lockers by exiting the locker or perform a basic action on the lock. Each locker can only be locked once. Okay, so this is an in-game counter that already reveals your position, so there's no point in like trying to be stealthy about which character you're playing. But also, they have to be very resourceful. And obviously, it takes a lot of ability to be resourceful. And well, survivors just aren't used to being resourceful, I guess, or doing much. But essentially, like, the idea is that you can slow yourself down, but there's two ways to counter this. You can either just like dash through the locker and go into a chase instead of just a quick swing. Or if you're out of the locker and you see it and they put it down too early, you can just swipe at it, break that locker, and you know that one's good. So each one only has one, meaning you gotta be very precise on which lockers you're picking and when you pick them. It's probably better to suggest, like, if you're just and like a generator, lock the one closest to the gen because they're going to teleport to that. That way you get an audio cue and you can start running before they just get a free swipe on you. And then there's a special ability called Nightfall. So he has two abilities, the Glooming and Nightfall. Nightfall meter builds when a healthy survivor is injured, a survivor is hooked, or the teleport power is used. So essentially, yeah, you get reward, like it increases the speed at which it builds by doing like helpful actions. So it rewards you for being good and being able to catch survivors or using your power as a killer. Since survivors don't have that, that's a very big factor in killer, obviously. The Nightfall meter also fills faster for each survivor in the injured state. Once the Nightfall meter is full, Nightfall begins, once again rewarding you for being able to capture survivors and use your abilities, mostly during chase, it seems like. During Nightfall, survivors must navigate in total darkness. What? Okay, I don't know what this looks like, but if it's like actual darkness, it's broken as shit. Obviously, that's not what it's gonna be. It's probably just gonna be like some sort of tint to where like you can't see outside of a certain range unless it's like aura perks. The Nightfall meter also... Wait, yeah, I already did that. The Dredger's teleport is faster with a shorter cooldown, and there is no terror radius. So he gains undetect. So he doesn't have like any terror radius anymore, and he's better able to use his locker part mid-chase, which is good. So it like rewards you for doing good, and then it rewards you for hurting survivors when Nightfall isn't active, and then when Nightfall is active, it makes it a lot easier to catch those injured survivors. Nightfall ends after 60 seconds, so a minute, and survivors are destroying the Remnant also reduce the time of inactive Nightfall. Now, it's probably not by that much, maybe like 5-10 seconds for destroying a Remnant, but that's still helpful. So obviously you got to be quick with your power still, but you're able to use your power a lot simpler to catch survivors mid-chase. So that's a really interesting power. I'm not sure where it's going to place in the meta, but this is something like DBD has been wanting for a while. I've had a huge thing about coming up with abilities that either A, use lockers, which now we have one, and B, an ability which uses crows or some form of crows. So now we get that, and we get a little thing added onto it to help. Overall, that seems like a really powerful power, but not broken. It's a good place in the meta. It has a lot of potential with a high skill ceiling, but it's also not the hardest to understand. You can still do well with it. You can still do like decent without it. You'll probably get a couple people with it. But if you're able to master this power, then survivors are going to have a hard time playing against you. And now we have his perks. Dissolution, I saw earlier, the general concept is like punishing players who try and like get away from you and around corners and whatnot while you hurt them. So yeah, everything turns to dust is inescapable as the coming of the night. 3 seconds after injuring a survivor by any means, this perk activates for 12 seconds. While Dissolution is active, if a survivor fast vaults over a pallet inside of your terror radius, the entity will break the pallet at the end of the vault, and Dissolution deactivates. Okay, so the concept is that, like, once you injure a survivor, by the time you do, like, your clean-off animation, Dissolution activates for 12 seconds, which isn't a lot of time, but still, you're not going to do much with this perk. And essentially, when they fast vault, it breaks the pallet so you can just get around it without having to break it and then go through. Which is pretty good, but there's just two things with this perk. Number one is going to just be that they can slow vault over it, which yeah comes with its own disadvantage because you could just yoink them off the vault. But if they slow vault, oh, it's also survivor injuring a survivor by any means. So that's like so like if someone gets, wait. Yeah, that's actually a lot better than I thought, because like if you're, this actually would go really well with Trapper, because if you're like in mid-chase with somebody and someone steps on a bear trap, that's injuring a survivor and it's to your terror radius for all survivors, not that one survivor. So if you're in chase and someone steps on a bear trap, after that 3 seconds, you just get that anyways. Which counteracts the thing that I'm going to say is that most of the time when a survivor is hit, they will go to a different loop and try and loop you a different way. So most of the time this power isn't going to be effective. But I guess on players that can like hurt people from range, like maybe Huntress, or as I said, this perk would go really well with Trapper and injure survivors without like having to use their basic attack. That would be really powerful, actually. Like, maybe Trapper, Huntress, Plague with her with like her red vomit. This is actually sick. Or like trying to get multiple people with like an Oni ult. With like an Oni power. This has a lot of potential in it. Maybe it's not so good on the dredge, but still, like other survivors other killers that are able to harm survivors by means other than their basic attacks will do really well with this perk. So it's not as much of a good perk on dredge, it's mediocre, but still, it can be a powerful perk on other characters that have other means of hurting people than their basic attack. So yeah, that could be really good on certain killers and certain builds, but as a standalone perk, it's not the best, and it's more or less just like if the survivor screws up and is really devoted to that loop, which most of the time they're just going to change. Anyways, let's move on to Darkness Revealed. I haven't heard of this one, but I heard it had to do with something with the lockers. In your presence, placed one. In your presence, places thought to be safe are perhaps the most dangerous. When you search a locker, the auras of all survivors within 8 meters of any locker is revealed to you for 3 seconds, and the perk has this 30-second cooldown. That's... Once again, the perk's like not that bad on dredge. He's more or less going to be going through lockers and searching. But the two characters that I have the most idea with for like that would be really powerful would A, Huntress, and B, Trickster, because it's searching a locker. And whenever you search a locker that doesn't have a survivor in it, that's still considered searching a locker. So you refuel your throwables and this perk still activates. And you can also pair this up with like Iron Maiden and get that exposed status effect as well as that effect, plus you search the locker faster so you get more time to act on that. And you're not wasting as much time just trying to get this perk to activate, and you could use it mid chase or like when someone's nearby and they just ran from the gen. Overall, that could be a really powerful perk. Maybe not as much on the dredge unless you pair it up with Iron Maiden for a build, but for like Huntress, Trickster, and maybe even Twins, where you can like send Victor out, he can like look at a locker, and if anybody's nearby Charlotte, that you can just swap and take advantage of that. That can be a good perk. And then finally, Spectic Touch. The Land of the Shadow subsumes all. Healing only delays the inevitable. When a survivor performs the healing action within your terror radius, that survivor suffers from blindness and exhaustion Those effects linger for 6 seconds after a healing action is interrupted by any means. So I have a few ideas with this. One of them is like a build that would be really powerful. It would be Septic Touch. No, not make your choice. Yeah, the Executioner one. The Executioner perk that, like, when people heal outside your terror radius, they're stuck together. And Claustrophobia. Oh, yeah, from the... not Claustrophobia. Calispheric. Whatever it's called, like the Clown perk that hurts survivors within your terror radius. Those three go really well together. Along with one specific killer in my eyes being Doctor. Now, the reason Doctor is so good with this is that it says as this effect lingers for 6 seconds after a healing action is interrupted by any means. So if you see somebody doing the healing action, you can like shoot static with the Doctor, and instead of them just being able to finish up the action and then run, they are going to be interrupted either way. They're either going to power through the electricity or they're going to run, and either way you're going to get a shock off on both those survivors, as well as not having to pick it as much. You can just, the other survivors are just going to run, you can smack the one that's being healed, and then you can chase the other one for a while. So this would be really good with Doctor and with other perks. So overall, the Dredge has a really cool ability. I find that interesting. It's a lot unique compared to other ones, as like copy and paste ones, like how Ghostface and Myers are really similar. It's got it helpful for map traversal and being able to capitalize on aura reading perks. Now the perks themselves aren't as good on the Dredge, but they can be really helpful for other builds, like the Dissolution. Once again, that can be really good on like Trapper, Huntress, Plague, Egg, maybe even Trickster if you want to get that a shot. Darkness Revealed can be really good on like Huntress or Trickster, or paired up with like Iron Maiden. Still, these perks are really good. Not as much for the Dredge, but more or less if you put them on the right killer and you have the right, or if you put a good build together with them. These perks can be strong if put in the right section. These perks are good in certain ways, not as much on the Dredge, but if you like add these on to like a specific playstyle, these can be very effective. So overall, Dredge, really like the power. That's very innovative. The perks are powerful in their own rights, but just straight up, they're probably a bit on the lower side. I'd maybe make it for like Dissolution, to where like anybody who fast faults, whether they're in your terror radius or not, like break the pallet, so that like, and maybe increase the activation duration, so that when survivors like go to that other loop, they can't abuse that pallet straight away, and they actually have to do something with it, and they have to actually loop them for a bit until the power deactivates, and then they can use that pallet. It makes them think a bit more and gives them less resources to use more, meaning that you're going to hit them again most of the time and put them dying. Darkness Revealed, I think, is a pretty good perk. You're not going to get much out of 3 seconds. And 30-second cooldown is pretty generous. And maybe 8 meters is too small. Maybe something like 12 meters. I don't know if 12 meters is going to be too much, but still, it's like decent. You can at least give it a shot. I'm not sure how effective this is, but it seems pretty good. Spectic Touch, I'm not as much of a fan of. Like, yeah, you can use it on Doctor, Here, maybe it's like, okay, hear me out. The blindness and exhaustion is still 6 seconds as before, and then if you complete the healing, you have blindness and exhaustion for 20 seconds. So that way you still get something if they do that in your terror radius, but they also get hurt for like fast healing in your terror radius, because fast healing's a big issue. That would cut that off. They could just slow heal outside of your terror radius and not take that effect, and you'd still get use out of this if you're in like quick chase and they try and like do quick heals. Overall, the perks can use a buff, but on their self they're not the best, but in certain builds or on certain characters they have a lot of potential. Let's check out the skins really quick. Overgrowth and Sinew. That's not that bad. It feels like the other one, but then again, it is like an uncommon outfit. Feels like the other one, but like a bit more rotten, which is pretty cool. There's like the green right there, like mold. Old Gangrenous Thews. Yeah, it's like the one before, but a lot more red. And like the veins are a lot more obvious. So it just highlights like the creepiest parts. And then, oh, blistered muscle. That one's actually really sick with like the whited out bones and whatnot, and like the aging with like the black splatter out of like old blood. It's actually really sick. And then Twisted Plaything. Ooh, okay then. I'm really a fan of that arm right there. And like, yeah, that weapon's pretty nice, but I like the face split in half, but the main thing that I'm having a problem with right now is like that head. It's like the baby head and then the head on top of it, which I'm not liking that much. And like the sides flopping down, it just reminds me of like a goofy ears from Disneyland, but twisted. Still, Dredge is really sick. I'm interested to see how people are going to play him. And let's go Hades. Now, Hades got some interesting perks as far as I'm aware. I'm not fully sure of them, but she seems interesting. So let's start off with Inner Focus. You have honed your ability to see through the haze of the Ravage. You can see other survivors' scratch marks for within 32 meters of you. Whenever another survivor loses a health state within 32 meters of you, the killer's aura is revealed to you for 3 seconds. That's not that bad, but not that good either. Being able to see scratch marks doesn't really do much unless you're looking for survivors, and even then, most of the time, if you're looking for a survivor, they're injured and you can follow the blood. So the scratch mark ability isn't that good, and you have to be relatively close to the killer in order to see it. So like if you know they lose a health state, you can look around, and if there's no aura, then they're a decent amount away from you and you could like work on your gen or healing. But if they're relatively close, that's still not gonna do much. It's situational, but it's still, how do I say this? There's not going to be a lot of uses for it. That like you're not going to put an entire build around it, but it's still pretty nice to have. It's not the worst perk, but there's so many other like better killer seeing aura perks out there. It's just like compared with all the other ones, it's not worth it. And then Residual Manifest. A lifetime of chasing the darkness has taught you that the best disinfectant is light. After a successful killer blind action, the killer is affected by the blindness status effect for 20 seconds. This perk grants the ability to rummage through an open chest once per trial and will guarantee a basic flashlight. This kind of reminds me of Pharmacy, where it's like you can rummage, where like chests guarantee at least like a med kit, but it's a flashlight, so it's kind of like the other rummaging perk, still not that bad, not that good either. Like the blindness effect, most of the time to get advantage out of like blindness, they're gonna be like mid chase, and once you use like that flash, they're not gonna be able to see. You can take that chance to escape, and the blindness isn't gonna let them like control you. So if they have something like Nemesis, that's not gonna be very helpful. But it just being blindness, this is very situation-ish, so it's more or less when you're saving a survivor off of a killer's shoulder and not as much of a selfish perk. Now if it was here, I'll get to the buff later, and then overzealous, fighting back against the ravage motivates and inspires you. After cleansing any totem this perk activates, your generator repair speed is increased by 4%. The perk deactivates when you lose a health state by any means. I really don't mind gens that much. Like, yeah, they're a little bit tedious if like the killer's super bad, you're kind of just sitting there. But if it's like, it can still be fun, and it's 80 seconds, so that's not like the worst thing. It gives you enough time to be able to do it if you're good, and enough time for the killer to react. But still, for like what it does, it's not that bad. 4% is pretty good. It's welcomed, but once again, not the best when you compare it to like Dwight's perks. Cleansing a totem. Okay, it's cleansing a totem, so that's good. And it's not like once you get rid of a hex, because in that case, if the killer doesn't bring hex like ruin or anything or devour, then it'd have like no use. But it's just cleansing in general, which is nice. The 4% is good, so it rewards you for cleansing a totem by giving you like that ability to work on gens, and then it motivates you more to not get hurt, which, yeah, killers already do that, but they're like, hey, I got a shield, so there's not really much of a point of worrying about it too much. I could just get away with that burst at the end, and now I can finally use my dead hard. But now it's like, no, I want to keep that so that I can keep that general repair speed. It's not gonna keep people totally away, but you know, it's pretty good. Alright, so let's start off with buffs. Inner focus. Okay, so the scratch marks have no point in being there. There's just more on your screen. It's more distracting, and it's not going to be very helpful. So I would think that it should be that if you see other survivor within 32 meters of you, they get highlighted for about 5 or 6 seconds, just so that you can be like, hey, somebody just crossed across me, and now I can actually go after them. And of course it'll just activate like each time you lose sight of them, and if it's within a certain range it won't activate because, well, as I just mentioned, you don't want too much. And I feel like it should be that like when a survivor anywhere loses a health state, you should be able to see it for either killer for 3 seconds. That's reasonable. It's a bit like other perks, but still not that bad. Just not that good either. The 32 meters isn't really gonna like give you anything besides, oh, the killer's right there, but most of the time you're gonna hear the chasing, so you're gonna know already. Next, let's do Residential Manifest. I have nothing against this perk, although if I were to do one thing, I just want to do one thing, which is to change it from a successful killer blind action to a successful killer blind or stun action. That way you don't have to use a flashlight mid-chase, because most of the time if you try and do that, unless they're like 20 meters away from you and they don't have any speeding perks, then you're just gonna get hurt trying to do that, and if you just keep going at it, you're just gonna get knocked. So if you do the stun thing, the blindness should also do, and the blind action. Besides that, if that was added, this could be a great perk, or not overpowered but still usable in the meta. And then over Sigillus, I like that cleansing a totem thing. That's pretty nice. It's just a general repair speed. It doesn't really do much, and losing a health state wouldn't really matter as much. How about after cleansing any totem, this perk activates, and it increases all of your actions, almost like how Fired Up does, if you aren't familiar with Fired Up, it's a Freddy perk, and whenever you do a generator and the generator completes, Fired Up activates and it increases your action time by 4 seconds. Now if you were able to do that and then have it stacked to like 12%, and with a speed to everything, that could be really helpful, and it could keep survivors more motivated to stay healthy, because you're not really just gonna cry over spilled milk when your generator repair speed is down by 4% from that buff. It's nothing. It's 80 seconds. It's not gonna do much. But if it were buff to everything, and there were stacks, you'd want to stay healthy so that you can keep adding on to that stacks. And if you do get hit, it cycles down all the tokens and you need to start over, which can be a bit tedious, but once again, it's like totem cleansing. So maybe if it's like stacking, it shouldn't be totem cleansing. How about totem cleansing and totem cleansing and hook rescues. So that way, if you were able to do that, you could get it more often, and you don't have to sit there and tediously cleanse a totem while you're doing that. And also, it would be able to pair up with perks, actually. Like, you'd be able to use borrowed time for that. Meat. Like, slippery meat, whatever it's called, like the one that gets you off hooks easier. It would just be a lot more helpful in a lot more situations. Overall, that's my opinion as a DBD player. The perks aren't that bad. They're just not that good on their own. You need to put them into a specific build and a specific playstyle to capitalize on it. But I'm just not sure what time is. Yeah, I got time. Just for one go, I will. Let's see, what is my. Anyways, yeah, let's just hope for a good time. Let's see what we can do. I'm not really sure of like the patch, so I'm not sure if there was like quality of life changes. I'm not gonna use my chainsaw just yet. Alright, no one's working up there. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. I don't hear that. I did not hear that. Where? That was too early. What? Dude. What? You guys are seeing that, right? There we go. I think someone's in there. What? I don't get what's happening here. Dude. Feel like right there would have been a really good use of that perk. Sorry if I suck. I haven't played in years. Well, like a year, but still. It's been a while since I played, so apologies if I just suck absolutely. Come on. Come on. Let's get you to the fishies. Let's go take out over there. And then yeah, let her go. She. Dude, people never expect the vault. They never expect the vault, dude. Nobody expects killer to vault in this game. You can really take advantage of people for that. Come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, the grab. The grab. Dude, that's even with a decrease. Alright, she got off. Break that pallet. I'm sorry. I really do suck at this. What? Dude, there's such a huge hitbox. There you are. Come on. Come on. Bethany, we've been talking about this. You can't have both the dogs in the divorce papers. I said, leave Clover alone. Alright, no one's right here. Let's check it over here. Yo, get your ass back here. Dude, even with a decrease in that, even with a decrease in the punishment, that's... Knock her. No, I know what you're doing. Sorry, man. Nobody expects Lightborn. No. Alright, to escape. If the two are still here. I'll count that as a win. Yeah, look at that, even with the decrease. Alright, come on. Sorry, got him, boy. And sorry, disturbed. That definitely wasn't my best game, but she was trying to use that perk on me. She was trying to use like the blinding perk, but I predicted it and had Lightborn. Oh, and the hatch was right above me, so she wouldn't have... The hatch is upstairs, so she wouldn't really have... Yeah. Yeah, not bad. Not that bad of a game, but... Wasn't too bad. I'll take it. Yeah, that's everything new in this new patch of DBD. Let me know your thoughts down in the description. Do you love it, hate it? Does it need like changes? Anything you guys think I guys should know, put it down in the description. I might make a video of it. And until then, jam out, live light. Take care of yourself, and yeah. Also make sure that if you guys are wanting more Dead by Day, let you like the video so I know you guys like this content, and subscribe to see if I'll do a follow up on more DBD. Enjoy yourselves.